Today, we'll be making Belizean stewed beef. You're watching the Bear Pantry Show. Okay, so first of all, Joe went and got this big old slab of beef when I sent him to the store. $14.29. This better be good beef or off with his head, okay? Because I am really stingy when it comes to red meat because I don't like eating it so much. So I have a big old bowl and we're going to take the pieces out. If the pieces are too fat, see like this piece is kind of too fat, we're going to get a knife and cut it, okay? So in the meantime, let me get it all in here to show you what we do first to the beef. And this is going to be so simple. It's going to take a while to cook, you guys, but it's not going to be difficult, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is take this half of lemon right here and I'm going to squeeze it to put the juice all over the beef. Like I told you guys before, I don't know if anything's scientific, if this, goes on when you do this, but as a Belizean, we were taught this, to put either lime or lemon juice or distilled white vinegar on your meats. So this is what I've done so far to it. And I'm going to take it over to the sink and I'm going to wash it off real well, and then I'll be right back here at the counter so we could get it seasoned, okay? Alright, so I've washed it off and I've drained off some of the water, and any parts of the beef that's a little bit too fat, we're going to go ahead and cut it into, okay? Some of the other ones are fine, they can pass. Just like this is too fat, this is going to take too long to cook, and we don't want that to have to happen. So what I'm going to do is just go through the process of picking up each of these pieces. See if it's too fat, go ahead and cut it in two, and then I'll be adding the spices to it. Let's see, I have my recado. I didn't put it in that bin that I usually put it in. I have to go to the fridge and get my recado. And this is the type of recado that looks like clay, okay? It's not the powder one. And I save my powder for soups and ground beef and stuff like that. I use this one like clay. And I've told you guys before, if you're going out to church or a party right after you start rubbing this recado, you might have some of this red stuff on your hand. It doesn't last all day, but it does last for a little while. And you guys notice I'm using the red one, right? Because I made 2 dinners already with the black one. The black one is only for those soups. We don't really cook with that on our meats. We cook with this red one. And if you're not Belizean and you're watching and you wonder what you can replace this with, you can certainly use paprika or paprika like we know it in Belize. I don't like the smell or the taste of paprika, so I don't use it. I try to use this all the time. You can get it from Latin stores if you're not in this area. And of course, you can always go to my dad's website, bluefield-prod.com. I'm going to put up a graphic and you can purchase it from him and he'll ship it right out to you, okay? So I'm adding some salt to this. This is going to be a lot of meat. This is going to last us quite a few days. We're going to have this with rice and beans the first day, then we're going to have burritos the next day. It's going to last quite a long time, okay? So here I'm putting black pepper. And if you guys notice, this is all I always do. Salt, black pepper, recado. I don't really like other stuff on my meats, but of course you can put other stuff. And if I change this up in the future, what I would put is cilantro and tomato and onions, and I would go ahead and blend it in the blender and make like a marinade over this, or sometimes I add it in later on while it's cooking. I might even add some potatoes to this while I'm doing this, okay? But I don't put too many spices because you've heard me say a bajillion times that the spices really kind of throw it off for me. I want to kind of taste the meat, not just the spice. Jada puts garlic on everything, and I really hate garlic on everything. So this is all we do, and now we're going to move it over to the stove so I can show you what we do next. Okay, so what I did was I put 1 tablespoon of cooking oil in here. It was canola oil. You can use olive oil, of course. And I'm just like putting the beef pieces in a pot, and I'll bring it in for a close-up to show you guys, okay? So after we got all the pieces in the pot, they're looking lovely, aren't they? We're just gonna use our tongs. Hold the pot so it doesn't fly off of the stove. We're just gonna use our tongs like this. We kind of turn it so that all the sides can get brown. So this is all we're trying to do right now, is get the beef brown. Don't worry about anything else. We have it seasoned. We want to get it brown. Don't worry about onions, cilantro, or any of that type of stuff, because those are going to come way, way, way towards the end. So for right now, all we want to do is brown the beef. And by the way, the recado or the paprika will help with that too, okay? So you don't get those pale looking meats. And you hear the pot's kind of noisy because it's really frying up good. And as fast as all the sides get brown, I'm going to start adding water a little bit at a time. Not to make a soup, but to just quiet the pot enough that the beef can cook. And this beef is probably going to take a couple of hours. to be done. So I'm gonna be back periodically. I'd say every 20 minutes or every half hour I'll come back and just show you guys how it's looking. But in the meanwhile, I'm gonna be adding water a little bit at a time after it gets brown, okay? And I'll show you the first time too that I add the water so you can know how much water to add. So it's been going for about 10 minutes and I believe all the sides are brown now. It's not really frying up to make, a loud noise like if it's burning or anything. So what we want to do, I use a measuring cup for everything, but I'm not measuring, okay? So what we're going to do is just pour a little bit of water, just enough to quiet the pot. Did you hear it go quiet? And that's what we're going to do for the next 2 hours, okay? Every 15 to 20 minutes when it starts making an angry noise, we'll come back and pour just a little bit to quiet the pot. Then I'll show you any other our other ingredients. So it's about an hour and a half, and I want you guys to know that I've been cooking this beef with the lid on, okay? It just makes it cook a little bit faster when you keep the lid on. So I took it off. I put a lot of water in here right now. Just remember we were doing along the way where it's just enough to quiet it. Well, I put a lot more. It's not going to be soup, okay? Don't panic. I put a lot more because I'm going to add some of my herbs and stuff, right? And I can squeeze it with this spatula and I feel that it's soft. You can poke it with a fork. You can do anything like that to see how soft it is, to make sure that it's cooked well enough. Because the reason that I don't like beef is because I hate chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing. So I always want it to be very soft when I'm going to be eating beef. So here we go. I'm going to put some onions. This is a whole big onion. And some cilantro. You can put some jalapeno peppers. You can put those yellow peppers that I like to cook with. You can put a little bit of garlic. You could put thyme and sage and anything else you want to put on this, but I keep it very simple here because I just like the way certain things taste. And sometimes when too many ingredients and spices go in a meal, it kind of it doesn't do it for me, so that's where there's a lot of other foods that I don't like. So all I put here is some cilantro and some onions, and a lot of onions. And I'm going to debate if I'm going to put potato. If I put potatoes, I would put it now to let it cook a little bit with this. So, I don't know, maybe I'll put it. Let's see. Okay, so here we are. I did like 3 big potatoes. I decided to go ahead and do it. Just kind of cutting them into chunks and throwing them in here. And you want to kind of put it now when the water is plentiful in there so it can have time to cook, all right? And so I've decided to go with that option. You don't have to do this, but we kind of like this in my family because everybody gets a little piece of this. And sometimes you won't even need to cook rice or anything if you have the potato. And even if we make burritos out of this, we will chop it with the potatoes in it, okay? We don't play in here. So here we go. This will go for another half hour. Remember, we've cooked it for an hour and a half already. This was good beef. I take it back. I'm not gonna punish Joe for spending $14 and something cents on this beef because it was pretty good. And it's got soft pretty quick. If it's old beef, I promise you it's gonna take like 3 hours sometimes to get cooked. But anyways, this is just gorgeous. Look at it. And it's not a stew, okay? I mean, it's not a soup. It's not a soup. This is stewed beef. So it's gonna have a little bit of gravy when this is done. So I'm gonna allow this to cook down. It might be a little bit more than half hour just to let this cook down to form a thick gravy. But I'll come back and let you know how long it takes, all right? So it took 2 hours for all that water to cook out of it and make this beautiful gravy right here. Let's get on in here and see. See? Gorgeous gravy, right? So it's not a soup, it's a stew. And the potatoes are nice and soft. And we're going to serve this with rice and beans or white rice and stewed beans. And of course you can just eat it just like this because it has potatoes. You can make a salad to go with this and be an awesome healthy meal, right? The beef is really, really soft. And basically that's because we got some good beef. Had we gotten some old tired beef, it would have taken closer to 3 hours to cook this. But this is just gorgeous. Gorgeous Belizean stewed beef. Okay, so you see the longest time to make the stewed beef is the actual cooking of the beef. It takes a very long time for beef to cook, and especially if you get like an old tired piece from the store, it's gonna take a long time to get done. So as fast as we could get it seasoned up, we just get it on the stove, get it brown, and we just keep adding that water a little bit at a time to make the beef cook. This one is called stewed beef, and in the future I'm gonna make one that's called beef stew, which is actually a soup. But this one is stewed beef. It has gravy, and we could serve that with white rice and stewed beans, or we could serve it with rice and beans and also potato salad. Or sometimes Joe and I will chop it up and make burritos out of it. But this is awesome. Belizean stewed beef. Thank you guys for watching, for sharing the show with your friends and family, for picking up my book, and for all that you do to support me. Until I see you guys again, take care.